Zeela grew up in a loving household with her parents, Kwame and Margaret, until a sudden turn of events left her living alone with her mother at the age of 7. Years later, when Zeela was in her final year of junior secondary school, her mother remarried. Margaret's new husband, Henry, welcomed them into his home. Zeela's always been a quiet, kind-hearted, chubby girl, easily making friends wherever she found herself. She was therefore determined to make the best of her life in their new home. With this change came the introduction of an 18-year-old stepbrother, Opata. From the very start, Zeela and Opata's relationship was strained. Opata resented their presence, seeing them as intruders in what he considered his territory. Having himself come from a fractured family, he had moved in with his father upon gaining admission into Zion Senior High School in the same town. Opata reveled in the freedom the house accorded him, with his father often away from morning till evening. The lack of supervision allowed him to indulge in mischief, further fueled by his circle of friends who shared his unruly tendencies. As the adage truly emphasized, birds of a feather indeed flock together. To Opata, Margaret and Zeela's arrival disrupted his sense of autonomy. His disdain was subtle at first, manifesting through curt comments, cold stares, and ignored greetings, with occasional threats in the hallway, directing his hostility more to Zeela. The unassuming girl did not take this to heart. She never thought Opata meant any harm, but as the months went by, his resentment festered. Opata left for vacation at his mother's and came back more sinister than ever. He began to extend the hostility to Margaret as well. She concluded he might have been influenced during his stay at his mother's, which was usual with peeved ex-wives, so she ignored his insolence without a word to her husband. Walking to school every day was sometimes an ordeal for Zeela, if Opata happened to be joined by his two friends, Ben and Jones. Every evening she would complain to her mother, who assured her it was a phase, and Opata would have a change of heart if he came to know them better. One morning, Zeela noticed that Opata had left soap suds smeared on the bathroom walls. Irritated, she mentioned it to her mother, who suggested she politely address the issue with him. When she did, Opata exploded in anger. "How dare you tell me what to do in my own house?" he roared. Zeela quickly apologized. Moreover, she had already cleaned the mess. Henry sometimes noticed his meanness towards Zeela, but he took it as one of their youthful antics, unaware of a growing malice. Opata became verbally abusive, passing cruel jibes about her weight down to insults about her mother being a gold digger. It hurt Zeela to think anyone would accuse her mother of marrying for financial gain. She had been asking herself why her mother had to remarry after being on her own for almost 10 years. Besides, her father Kwame had been financially supportive all these years. Zeela only listened to his insults without telling her mother. Some days after school, Opata would bring his friends home to play loud music, dance recklessly, and create chaos. Zeela would retreat to her room until the noise subsided. One afternoon, Opata and his friends helped themselves to food Margaret had carefully prepared for Henry's guests that weekend. When confronted by his father, Opata was furious and blamed Zeela for telling on them. He vowed to make her pay. The bullying reached a breaking point that week at school. The emotional distress that Zeela was going through made her greatly unhappy. She tried all she could to avoid those 3 boys, but she had no other route to go by to school. Sometimes it was as if they intentionally waited for her to torment her. One morning, Ben made an inappropriate comment about Zeela. "Hey, loser, who's your friend? Fat, ugly girls don't have friends." Prompting Zeela to slap him, Opata shoved her to the ground, very much enraged. "You dare hit Ben? You'll regret this," he seethed. She struggled to get on her feet and they roared with laughter, calling her a poultry chicken. Zeela stood her ground, glaring up at them. "Listen, Opata, I've tolerated this nonsense for far too long. This time I'm telling Dad." Opata sneered. "Who's Dad?" "Your borrowed father." He pushed her to the ground again. Zeela lay in the dust, trembling, when a second-year student came by. Clara watched the scene with so much anger. She knew the wrath of those 3 boys, so she decided not to be part of the scuffle. However, she sought Zeela out and comforted her. They are bullies, and bullies are weaklings struggling with an inner insecurity. Don't engage them in fights, just ignore them. From then on, they became inseparable friends. Zeela loved the feeling of someone who looked out for her. She looked forward to seeing Clara every day. Yet another time, Opata delivered a swift kick to her legs without any provocation. Pain shot through her, but she refused to cry out. "Cut it off, you worthless bunch. What do you want from me? I'm fed up with your silly, immature behavior. Just stop it before you get into trouble." "Are you threatening us?" Opata smirked, stepping closer. "No, I'm warning you." Jones laughed and shoved her. Without hesitation, she slapped him hard across the face. "What? You slapped Jones as well?" Opata exclaimed. "You are in big trouble," he fumed. Fortunately for Zeela, a car approached the scene, causing the boys to walk away. Their taunts intensified, but this time Zeela kept her distance. One rainy afternoon, Zeela waited for Clara after school. When the drizzle intensified, Zeela headed home, eager for a nap. She barely noticed the boys laughing in the living room, unaware of their sinister intentions. A persistent knock on her door jolted her awake. "I'm tired," she called out. "I said come out here." Opata's voice hardened. Reluctantly, she opened the door. Opata grabbed her arm and pushed her back into the room. His friends followed, their laughter unsettling. Panic set in as Opata locked the door behind them. What followed was a nightmare. Zeela's story has only just begun. Stay tuned for Boys on Rampage Part 2. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next.